Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into a really profound analysis of human capability, looking at what it truly takes to survive.
Yeah, and we're not talking about, just physical endurance. This is about something deeper.
Exactly. We're exploring the mental, the spiritual tenacity required to endure the absolute worst. And we're using sources centered on a psychiatrist's observations during World War II.
That's right. The core of our discussion is the work of Viktor Frankl, specifically from his book, Man's Search for Meaning. And it's a powerful book.
It's more than a memoir, right?
Oh, much more. Its real argument is that the driving force in life isn't happiness. It's not power. It's our deep, fundamental need for meaning.
And the context for this argument is, it's as extreme as it gets. Frankl, a psychiatrist in Vienna, was sent with his family to Nazi concentration camps.
Auschwitz, Dachau. Places engineered to strip away not just life, but identity, humanity itself.
So in this deep dive, our goal is to really isolate what Frankl saw. What were the surprising factors that determined who survived those unbearable conditions and who didn't?
To really get it, you have to picture the reality there.
Let's start with that. The conditions inside the camps. Frankl describes this state of constant, crushing shock.
You're stripped of everything. Your possessions, your hair is shaved, and your name is gone, replaced by a number on your skin.
The ultimate dehumanization.
Absolutely. And after that initial shock, he says this relative apathy sets in.
A kind of emotional numbness.
Exactly. Daily life becomes just a cycle of pain, starvation, forced labor. Death is everywhere. It's casual, and your whole world just shrinks to one goal: survive the next few hours.
But here's the paradox he observed as a doctor. Everyone was in the same physical hell, starving, cold, facing death.
Right.
But their internal states, their mental states, were completely different. And that's the core of his insight, isn't it?
That is the kernel of the whole thing. The bodies were all reacting the same way to the stress, but the minds weren't.
So what was the difference?
Well, his essential finding was that survival was less about physical strength and way more about your mental orientation.
Your focus.
Your focus, exactly. The people who only saw the present pain, the hunger, the cold, they broke. They succumbed very quickly.
But others didn't.
No. The ones who endured, they found a way to mentally escape the barbed wire. They survived by focusing on a purpose, on a meaning that was waiting for them in the future.
So they were pulling themselves towards something.
Yes. They weren't just reacting to the horror of the now. They were living for a future goal.
And these goals, these purposes, they were intensely personal, right? Not some grand, abstract idea.
Not at all. He talks about people holding on to the simplest, most powerful images.
Like what are some examples?
It could be the dream of seeing a loved one again, a spouse, a child. Or for some, it was finishing a piece of work, a contribution they still had to make.
Like Frankl himself, with his manuscript.
Exactly. He had his book on logotherapy, his life's work taken from him. He found his own anchor in the idea that he had to survive, to rewrite it, to give it to the world.
A responsibility.
A responsibility to something beyond yourself. That's what it was. And it allowed them to see the suffering not as meaningless, but as a temporary price to pay.
And this is where we get that incredible conclusion he drew. It's one of the most powerful things ever said about resilience.
Those who have a why to live can bear almost any how.
And for you listening, that is the key. The power of purpose isn't just a motivational poster. According to Frankl's data, it's the literal mechanism for survival.
It is, which leads right into his next major observation, something he called the last human freedom.
Okay.
Think about it. In a place where everything is taken from you, your home, family, freedom, even your name, he realized there was one thing the guards couldn't take.
What was that?
The freedom to choose your attitude in any given set of circumstances.
But wouldn't some people say that's just a coping mechanism? Like, you're just rationalizing to get through it? How is that different from denial?
That's a great question. And he was very clear on this. It's not about pretending things are okay. They were horrific.
Right.
It was about choosing a response that affirmed your inner self, your morality. He saw starving men share their last piece of bread. He saw people find a moment of peace watching a sunset over the barracks.
Choosing compassion instead of just sinking into the hatred around them.
Yes, that choice to keep your dignity, to find meaning even in suffering. That's what he said separates a human from an animal just reacting to stimuli. It's an assertion of who you are.
That reframes it completely. So he wasn't saying just be happy. He was saying be responsible for your inner response.
Precisely, which also clarifies his whole view on suffering.
Which can be misunderstood.
Very easily. He did not say suffering is good. He said pain is just part of life. It's inevitable. But what's optional is the meaning you give that pain. And that choice is where your power lies.
And that's how it becomes transformative.
That is the engine of transformation. If you endure suffering for a why, for a loved one, for a future goal, it stops being just destructive. It becomes something else. It becomes growth.
This realization then became the bedrock of his work after the war. Let's shift to that, how he turned this into a whole psychological approach.
Logotherapy.
Logotherapy.
Yeah, which literally means meaning-based therapy. It comes directly from his observations. It's a huge departure from other schools of thought.
Like Freud, for instance.
Right. Freud focused on the will to pleasure. Adler focused on the will to power. Frankl said, no, the most fundamental human drive is the will to meaning.
So if people are suffering from what he called an existential vacuum, a lack of meaning, how does the therapy work? You can't just prescribe meaning to someone.
You can't. And that's the genius of it. He believed meaning has to be discovered by each person. But he identified three main pathways, three universal ways anyone could find it.
Okay, what are they?
The first is through creating a work or making a contribution. Building something, doing a job well, being useful to others.
That sense of responsibility again.
It's always there. The second path is through experiencing something or loving someone. And this is profound, unconditional love. He saw it as the ultimate goal because through love, you see the true potential in another person.
Which must have been so powerful for him, having lost his wife.
It was everything. He talks about how visualizing her, talking to her in his mind, gave him strength. For him, love transcended physical presence. It was a source of meaning in itself.
So work and love, what's the third path?
The third is the most difficult, but it's also maybe the most powerful. It's finding meaning through the attitude we take toward unavoidable suffering.
When you can't change the situation.
Exactly. When a loss is permanent or an illness is terminal, the meaning is found in how you face it, the dignity, the courage you show. That itself becomes a profound source of meaning.
So if we look at those three things, it's a complete map for life, really. Achievement, connection, and adversity.
It covers everything.
But let's bring this into our world. Outside of those extreme circumstances, why is this so relevant right now?
Because Frankl warned about this. He saw the post-war world becoming more and more comfortable, yet people felt emptier. He called it the Sunday neurosis.
That feeling of dread when the distractions of the week stop.
Yes. He said the big problem for modern people, the reason for so much depression and anxiety, isn't pain. It's meaninglessness. It's that existential vacuum. We have everything we need for the how of life, but we've forgotten the why.
Which makes this thinking more critical than ever.
I think so, yes. Especially for a generation that feels adrift, even with so much prosperity.
Okay, so let's synthesize this. If we were to boil down Frankl's work from these sources into a few key takeaways, what should you, listening, really hold on to?
I think the first thing is that the goal of life isn't constant happiness. It's finding meaning in every situation, good or bad.
And second, when your MUI is strong enough, the how takes care of itself. If your purpose is clear, you will find a way to endure.
100%. Third, hope isn't just wishing. Active hope, anchored to a future purpose, is a real force. It's stronger than physical pain.
And the final one, which underpins it all.
Your attitude. It isn't just a reaction, it's your ultimate creative power.
Yeah.
That choice is the one freedom no one can ever take from you. And it has the power to change your destiny.
Meaning isn't a luxury. It's essential.
It's what sustains us. I mean, this whole deep dive, it's a mix of a survival story and profound psychology. It respects pain, but it doesn't give into it. It offers a deep truth.
And that truth is that no matter what is taken from you, you always retain that power to choose your response. That is the one freedom that is always yours.
Always.
So, as we close out, here's a final thought for you to consider based directly on Frankl's work. If your greatest freedom is the choice of your attitude, how might you intentionally choose your attitude toward a challenge in your life right now? How can you, by doing that, shift its meaning